Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another episode of FTWGT Weekly. It's your boy Lenny, joined again by the man himself. I didn't want to get us off to a bad start again here.
Oh yeah, you didn't want to call me a cum rag again?
Well, see, you did it this time. I was gonna say something. Another C word is what I was gonna call you.
I don't even want to know.
Yeah, its initials would be CH. Dirty Water ENT.
Yeah.
Everybody, the man himself. Camera, center frame. Actually, on this type of podcast, camera
left frame.
Left frame. Bottom right frame.
What is it?
It's on my right side here.
West by southwest?
But he's on my left. Maybe when you're seeing, does it flip? Does it flip-flop? Because if he's here, but he's there. No, we're just going to get off to the weird. We're already off the rails here.
Jesus Christ.
We are also back, Dante, from our mystery movie night.
Yes, we are.
And I wanted to start there this week. As always, instead of saying it at the end of the podcast, I will say it here, though, before we get into the actual show itself, talking about some new movies we saw this week, some news coming out in pop culture and what we're going to be watching going forward. If you could, give us a like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend, ask a friend. Charity is always best. Although Dante would tell you we earned this shit.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to the movies last night. It was a mystery movie night over at the AMC theaters. We purchased a ticket to a movie not knowing what we were going to see. And I wanted to kind of address that first and give some thoughts. Because going into the movie, I had questioned if this was going to be a way to, enhance the crowds going to the movie theater. Maybe not save the movie theater. Because I don't know if any one thing can save the movie theater.
But it was definitely a fun take on a movie going experience.
Do you think this is a move in a positive direction for the people?
Yeah, I do think so.
I had a couple of takeaways.
All right, let's hear them.
So, looking at we were talking about this last week when we were kind of previewing the month of November for movies and just overall takeaways from this year in movies. The most successful things that have happened in movies this year is movies for kids, right? That is kind of, or I'll go even a step further. Movies that have targeted audiences, right? Okay. So whether it's a Mario movie that is, heavily going to gear heavily towards kids being able to go see it. It did have a larger audience than that, but I do think a main reason why it made as much money as it did was the lasting power from kids going to see it. A movie like Barbie, for instance, that, is heavily targeted towards the female demographic.
Or and then a movie like Oppenheimer that's able to feed off of the success of Barbie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one's maybe it's an own unique thing, right? Because I think that did just piggyback off of memes, essentially. Yeah. Is why that did so well.
I don't think that does as much as it does without Barbie.
But the difference here that I appreciated, my first initial thing that I noticed when we went to the movies yesterday, was it was a pretty diverse crowd. I don't know if you had noticed that.
Yeah, I did notice.
I saw a mixture of people from male, female, all walks of life, old, young. And I thought that was interesting that it kind of showed me people still go to the movies, right?
Yeah.
But, you have to pick and choose so wisely now, especially if you don't have the memberships that we have because of, the cost of everything to begin with, right? I feel like tickets are expensive, concessions are expensive.
I feel like that's all the more reason to have the membership, but
yeah, sure. That's a conversation for another day, though. Time is expensive. Time is money, right? And these movies that are coming in at 2 hours and something long that you have to decide whether or not that's what you want to dedicate. Both your free time, your time away from whatever it is you do in your regular day-to-day life. So I think that the idea of not knowing what you're going to see, created anticipation. That was another thing that I took away. The theater was relatively full, and we talked about it right before the movie that right up until I knew what we were seeing, there was a certain level of anxiousness.
Right? You're still trying to figure it out right up to that last second. What are they about to put on for us?
A level of anticipation to what we're going to watch. And I thought that added to the experience, right? And I think that can go one of two ways, right? Because we talked about it. There was one couple that looked like they got up right when the movie started playing, but I think they came back in if I'm being honest. I was pretty.
They might have, but yeah, it looked like as soon as they saw what it was, they were like, "Nah, we're not getting the movie we wanted, so we're just gonna walk out."
Yeah, like because I think we all had like ideas of what we were hoping it was gonna be.
My question for that though is like, say they didn't come back, right? Like, what's your backup plan? A Monday night, you're going to the movies. All of a sudden, it's not the movie you want to see. Where do you leave and go?
I mean, there's bars open everywhere. Monday Night Football's playing. There's stuff that you can do. Maybe there are wrestling fans. WWE Raw was on. There's things you can find. I also think that like part of it is, I would assume a decent amount of people. Was that exclusive to members, or could anybody buy tickets to that?
I think anybody could.
So, if you had have gotten the tickets for no money.
Because, like, we were members, and so it was included in our membership. But, like, otherwise, I think regular people would just buy it for, like, $5, I think it was.
I mean, when I got there, though, there was, like, you think it was, like, $5?
It was.
What the fuck?
It was.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
That's crazy that they're giving away early tickets like that for that heavily of a discounted rate.
Well, think about the risk you're taking. It might not be a movie that you're interested in. Right?
There was a decent amount of people who had already bought tickets when I got tickets, though, like 2 or 3 weeks ago for it.
Yeah.
But if you did in fact have the membership, what's the harm in leaving, right? If I paid nothing for this ticket and then I found out it's done, because truth be told, if you weren't there and it was a movie that I didn't care about, like that came on, I could have seen myself being like, yeah, who the fuck cares about this, and just going,
Fair enough.
Because what's stopping me if I'm not like financially invested at all, and it's not something that piques my interest? Now we started like kind of.
So knowing what movie it was, having not seen it, would you have walked out if I wasn't there?
No, but to get into the actual review a little bit, so it ended up being the Taika Waititi movie Next Goal Wins that we saw last night. A movie based around this down on his luck soccer coach, former soccer player, who has his last chance at a job. He gets fired from, I think it was the American soccer team, right?
Yeah.
And his last shot is to go to American Samoa, a team that has never even scored a goal. They're literally
say it right though. It's American Samoa.
Samoa. They are literally the last ranked team in the world rankings for soccer, and this is 4 weeks out from World Cup qualifiers. And that's where the story kind of takes off from. So I'm not generally a person who comes on here and gives like a very like I'm critical of movies, but I'm not a person who looks very analytically into things, right? I don't always talk about the way things are filmed and things like that. But, as far as asking me would I or would I have not have left, I was fairly uninspired with the first 15 minutes of this movie, even just from a purely like filmography standpoint. There was a scene in particular where I was watching it and like they're having the conversation in the kitchen. You know what I'm talking about at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
And the way that was shot was in such a boring way to me. Like it was literally just like profile shot of the kitchen table, like them talking across the table from each other. And it just didn't feel interesting. Like from the way it was like a cinematography, not a filmography, cinematography standpoint.
I mean, do you think it was intentionally boring though?
Why would you make your movie intentionally boring?
I mean, like, kind of downplaying that for what's to come kind of thing.
It felt very, I mean, I don't think it necessarily built to anything that was filmed that significantly better to that point. But also, I thought overall this movie it was funny. I don't think that comedies recently, like, I don't think you get a lot of, like, laugh out loud comedies, right? Like, I don't think we're going and seeing The Hangover or Pineapple Express or Superbad in the theater where like everybody's belly laughing like throughout the entire movie. Like, I don't think those things necessarily happen in the theater anymore, just because of where we're at with like the sensitivity.
You can't say certain things.
Yeah, like the sensitivity of the world, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that conversation at the kitchen table was necessarily very witty, in terms of the dialogue being super clever. Like, I thought you chuckled, and like the things that were funny about it were the way like the accents worked and like some of the phrasing, but it wasn't like quick humor. It wasn't like this quick back and forth banter conversation that like was consistently funny through it. So I think that mirrored itself in the way that it was filmed, with just this kind of boring still shot from the side view of this conversation of them at a kitchen table.
I thought the intention behind it was like being funny without seemingly intending to be funny.
Then what was this movie intending to be?
So obviously it was meant to be funny, but I think the whole point is like they filmed it in a way where it was like accidentally funny, like funny for being yourself kind of thing.
Sure, but like there's a lot of things that have dry humor that are filmed more interestingly than that. I don't know.
Fair.
Like I said, it was like the overall, like I thought the movie was funny. I just thought that like that wasn't a way to draw me in, was the way some of that was filmed early on. It just felt very like, it didn't feel very interesting. Like, I think if you're making, like, if you're Taika Waititi, I think people hold him in fairly high regard because of the Thor movies. And to me, what this movie was doing with the way it was filmed was kind of, it's almost like his luster that has been lost off of the fact that the Thor movies since Ragnarok, like that character is kind of trickling down too, with I think the goodwill that he built after like kind of reclaiming the Thor character in Ragnarok. I felt like there's just a bug that's been God damn. Whew. You saw that in real time, people. I killed that motherfucker. He's dead. I did it over my water, so I'm kind of worried about that.
Murder live on air.
Yeah. I hope we have no pro bug people out there. Can I send us off the rails real quick?
Sure.
I saw like a thing on X videos the other day, where there was these protesters at some painting in Europe, and they like destroyed a painting from like the 1600s to protest oil, the use of oil.
What?
Yeah. And I don't get it, dude. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do people do stuff like that? Like, I don't even know that, like, it makes a point, because, like, it comes across your feed and you watch it for a second and I'm like, who looks good in this scenario?
No,
because
there's other ways to protest oil.
Yeah, like, it's the same thing as when you see the people who are just stopping traffic and, like, causing people to be late for their jobs and everything. And they refuse to move, and you're like, you didn't change my mind or make me more of an activist towards your cause.
No, you pissed me off.
You also didn't, like, and I'm not even talking about the people who are in traffic, because like, but I think from an outside perspective, who are the people you feel bad for? Like, it's like, dude, like, did the people who are running this museum, were they the ones who had anything to do with like the corrupt oil use in not even in the world, not even the United States? Like, are they the ones that are causing global warming? And is this creating more awareness, or are you just like turning people off to your cause because you look like fucking psychos and you lack any social awareness? You put your own issues, or these issues that you've chosen that are grander than everybody else's, to make them put the fuck he came back. I got him. He's on my fucking hand. You see him there? Yeah. Yeah, it was like the sequel, dude. That was Jason coming back to make good on his mom murdering those people. Yeah. Yeah, I digress though. Like, that's my minute on social issues here. Like, don't be an asshole just to try and make your point. Like, there are other ways, I feel like and honestly, maybe this goes to also, do any of us have control in actually making changes? And is this just people wanting to feel like their voice matters? I don't know. I don't know if any of us matter. I don't think we really do. I think that, like, you can say all the things you want about, like, exploitation of, like, animals and, like, these corporate farms that just kill off everything. And it's like, who really gives a fuck? Like, they're going to do it anyways. You didn't change anything. And you just inconvenienced a lot of normal ass people who had nothing to do with your cause to do it. You actually didn't attack. Like, destroying that person's painting from the 1600s did not, like, attack the people who are actually doing it. I was wondering if it was an oil painting. Like that was the only thing I could think that was like.
Oh, that's what I thought the whole point of this was.
No, I don't. I mean, it probably wasn't oil painting, but that oil had nothing to do with the use of like.
What, they weren't out mining oil for their paintings?
Like, this was the 1600s. That person's long dead. They don't give a fuck. There was far less people in the world, and their polluting was not what caused this problem. So who did you attack? Find that image for me at some point and find if you can put that behind me. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Anywho, back to Taika Waititi. I don't even know why this. I murdered that animal and I started talking about like people.
Activists, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's how I got there.
Yeah,
I was like, what caused that in my head? Anywho, the movie. So getting back to that, that was my one, I guess, critique on it is that I did not find the way some of it was filmed to be incredible. I thought it was funny, but not in a laugh out loud funny way. I found it funny in a like chuckle to yourself every couple seconds when like they say something that's kind of like funny or somebody does something that's kind of funny. And when you look at the type of humor they're going for, the humor they were going for is very in the lieu of like TV shows like The Office and things like that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like at times it was meant to be kind of goofy, a little like off-putting, maybe some uncomfortable humor in there. And I just don't know that it hit it in the way that like a TV show like The Office is able to hit it or like, you know, some of these other things. But maybe that's because you get more character
I was going to say,
there.
I think TV shows will succeed on that a lot better because you get more invested in the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, it does take till season 2 of every show to enjoy it now. I've gone on long enough. What was some of your takeaways on the movie?
I mean,
how'd you feel?
It sounds like you're pretty critical of the cinematography, and I guess I just never really looked at it that way, so I can't even remember how I felt about the cinematography, but I overall thought the movie was pretty good. I enjoyed the acting performances. I enjoyed the comedy. I caught myself laughing out loud a few times. And the overall story was light but enjoyable.
I will say this. First of all, I enjoyed the runtime. I don't think it overstayed its welcome. It felt well-paced for an hour and about 45 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes, right? Was about how long it ran. So I give that to its credit. I found that as the movie progressed, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed for the most part, all of the characters. I don't think there was anybody I really didn't like in the movie, whether it was the people like the natives to the island, which I thought were all great. Like the person who runs the league there, the father, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was great. I thought he was one of the standouts in the movie. I thought Ace, was it? The former coach who gets fired early in the movie. He was very funny as well.
That's actually a funny point, right? He got fired early in the movie, but he was still there throughout the whole movie.
Well, they kind of say that like first of all, they don't care about like losing necessarily, right? Like he didn't take it as he like from the very first second he was fired. He's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I kind of deserve that. Yeah. And he was very much like a just there to help guy. And like they all seem to really across that island, even though their team is terrible, like you saw at the end, they're all watched. They're all there for it, right? Yeah. Like that's like something that they were very passionate about. And I think it's not necessarily that they're passionate about the sport. They're passionate about their people. Yeah. Right. And like passionate about each other. And they talk about it a lot in the movie where they all hold multiple, they're able to wear multiple hats, you know, like they all have multiple jobs and like they contribute everywhere. And like even the fact that they all stop at the same time every day to pray or whatever it is, you know, that's just like they're all there for each other. So I think that was something that was really driven home well in the movie. And then you enter in Michael Fassbender, who I actually had I read an interesting article, and we'll get into a little bit more of this later because it kind of talks about what we talked about on here last week on the pod, predicting some of November's movies. So this movie's budget is $14 million, which isn't a ton, right? So it won't need to make a ton to make its money back and be successful.
I'm surprised hearing Apple had a budget that low.
Yeah, but you look at like what it needed to be made, like
Yeah.
it didn't need a ton, right? I think like the thing that drew my eye, I did mention the cinematography. There were some shots I did enjoy, like the scenery shots that they took were
Okay. Yeah.
very much like Apple to me. Like the greens popping off the screen when they were showing like these landscape shots of like the island with the water behind it and everything. Like they made it look like a beautiful place. There's another bug. There's another bug. Fuck. You see that? That's his blood. That's his fucking blood. He's dead. He's fucking
Welcome
dead.
to the Attempted Murder Podcast.
I can't even get that.
Oh, whoa.
That might be shit. This is the problem with having your AC still in your window.
I don't have this issue.
There's like 3 bugs just flying. God damn it. Whew.
Well, I'm glad they're circling you and not me.
Oh my god, that was a lot. Give me a second. Wow.
God
So this is Michael Fassbender's first movie back. There's another one.
Oh my god.
This is Michael Fassbender's apparently first movie release in the theaters since the mid 2000s, which I guess would be the Ridley Scott movie Alien Covenant. If I had to guess, can you pull up his IMDb real quick? Michael Fassbender, Dante.
Not Jackson.
No, that's a whole other can of worms, my friend. So he's not like a huge theater draw. The other part that they're referencing is that the movie currently is only sitting at 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, so not very well liked thus far.
Prometheus,
Which
or
is
the
old.
Steve Jobs movie.
When did Prometheus come out?
2012, Steve Jobs 2015.
So it would either be Jobs or Covenant, I think. That would be the two that are mid 2010s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That they're
Covenant's
referencing.
2017.
Yeah, that would be the ones that were last in the theater. I think everything else he's been doing has been largely like Netflix and streaming based that he's come out with. So yeah, there's that. So they're saying that this would be Taika Waititi's worst box office performance that he's ever had, is what it's projecting at. It's projecting to make between 16 million and 35 million worldwide. Not worldwide, domestically, excuse me. Sorry, corrected. Note at the bottom of what I just said. That was wrong. It's domestic. So I don't think watching it, I understand what they're trying to do by getting people in to see this early, creating some buzz, some word of mouth. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't fucking matter. I've said that a million times. Like, critics don't matter. Like, real critics. Like, we're critical, but we're not real critics, right? Like, we're just regular people who go to the fucking movies every week. I think people like our opinions matter more, not to be like egotistical. I don't mean it that way, but like I think regular people's opinions matter more than people who went to some class and got a degree that says that they know more about movies than you.
Is that actually the case?
What do you mean?
I thought movie critics were just somebody that like have a job to go criticize movies.
But
So they
like,
have to actually go to school.
you
for
don't
it?
think to get in front to work for a lot of these major publications and things like that get added to the Rotten Tomatoes aggregator, that they aren't people who went to school and
So you're
got
saying,
jobs
like,
at big
some sort of like experienced cinematographers or like directors and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm basing it off of, I grew up on like Roger, like Ebert and Robert on Saturday mornings is what I grew up on. And do you know what that is?
I've heard the names, but I don't really know what it is now.
So I to me they are like the synonymous with movie critics. Like they had a TV show every week on like Saturday mornings where they would like literally review the movies that were in the movie theater for that week.
Probably around that time, Saturday mornings for me were occupied by WB.
Yeah, I mean, like I was the same way, but like that was something that if it was on, I loved movies, so I would stop and watch and see what they had to say,
Okay.
But like they were very buttoned up, like they were very like the same way I guess I'm talking about like cinematography at the front end of this review. That would weigh heavily into the way that they would critique a movie like this, right? As opposed to just being like, it was fun, it was funny, it was easy to watch. Like those are all very layman's ways of like articulating your thoughts on a movie.
Which is more the way I would critique a movie, I guess.
Hence why I'm saying like regular people's opinions matter more than the people of Rotten Tomato criticism. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's kind of where I'm coming from. I guess a little bit more there. Did you find it interesting at the end of the movie? They're showing you clips of, because this is based on a true story.
Yeah.
And they're showing you clips of some of the people
Like
in
the
real life versus the
counterparts.
movie.
Yeah.
There's only 3 people they showed, right? Or 4 people, because they included the league runner guy, right? But they showed the coach, they showed the goalie, and then they showed the first
Jaya, the captain.
Yeah, how would you describe her, Dante, so I don't get myself canceled?
Oh my god, the transgender person.
Thank you. I just don't know how to say it correctly without being offensive, and I don't mean to be. So I just wanted to say it, get it right.
Which honestly, knowing that this was based on a true story, I like that character wasn't just planted there for like demographic reasons, and it was actually an accuracy to the story.
Yeah, and one of the stronger characters in the movie.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think they missed some things too, because I don't necessarily understand why she gravitated to the coach as much as she did. Like when she goes and sees him when he kind of tries to quit the team, because up until that point, like they would show her kind of looking at him like
because he was kind of a dick to her too. Like he dead named her, and that was when she walked off, right?
She threw him on the ground, like bodied him, and then walks off. And like I don't know if it's because he didn't give her sympathy and like things like that, and like treat her any differently than she was being treated by anybody else. I don't know what that was, and I think that that's a miss, where like there is clearly a layer to that relationship. We learn why he feels the way he feels about her, right?
Yeah.
You kind of get that by the end of the story.
Yeah.
And it makes sense from his end. I don't necessarily understand why she gravitated to him so much, other than the fact that maybe she just believed that he could help them be better. Was really the only thing.
Maybe she just believed he was a good asset for the team, and she was the one that was going to be able to break through to him.
Yeah.
I guess that's
what they
kind of
want you
the
to
downside
think.
with like a shorter movie, right? Is like you got to cut out some of these explanations, but
in an hour and 45 minutes, there was other things they could have cut out rather than that one explanation that was like a major plot point of this movie, is that like she went back to him. She helped him get re-engaged with the movie. Should we be calling her she because she was on the men's national team?
She identified as a she.
Okay, but they also
she
said
was
that
legally allowed to play
because she
still had male genitalia. That was it.
I'm gonna get lost in the sauce here, so don't let me. Just don't let me. So she was like the one who is like, there's still great soccer players on this continent, like, or not continent, but like island. You should talk to them, and like she helps them find these people, and like I said, I just think that like she was a major driving point in this entire story, and the only reason you get for why their relationship is the way it is by the end of this is on his end, not on hers, when it was her who extended the olive branch to get him to come back.
Yeah.
So that's like a little bit of a hole for me there. I appreciated the last 15 or so minutes of this movie, because I do think it hit on some emotional themes. I think when you finally got the coach to lower his guard and explain why he has been the way he is, did you see that coming?
No.
Me neither. I think that they did a really good job of setting it up as like him and his wife have been separated, and he's like in that being the assumed reason why he's a dickhead.
Yeah, like you get that there's something going on, but you don't really realize it until after that scene.
Yeah, so when they finally confirm to you like what has been really going on, and like the whole point for this is like and it's interesting when you look, because the wife, his ex-wife, the wife he's separated from, is the one who tells him like that I wanted you to come here because it would be good for you. Almost like she knows better than he does what he needs to kind of heal from what's been going on in his life. And then you get the scene with again, I wish we remembered his name. Can you get me the name for the guy who's like running the league?
Wait, what do you mean the guy that's running the league?
Not the league, the island team. The father of the kid on the team. Help me out here, Dante. You saw the same movie I saw.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read through characters here. Tavita?
Yeah, Tavita.
Okay.
He, like, his character, when he tries to quit the team for what feels like the third time in the middle of their biggest game.
If you could just see the picture they have for him on IMDb, you would understand why it took me a second to recognize him.
I can kind of see it. Yeah. What threw you off from that?
I mean, he's just chilling in like a t-shirt, backwards baseball cap. Doesn't look at all like the character he was portrayed in the movie.
Who's the one below it? Is that Ace?
Yeah, that's Ace.
Yeah. Okay. So they have this like conversation like at halftime, and I think he did a really good job of like landing like, you're so caught up on us winning and you're putting all this pressure on them, and like that's not what's going to get them to perform the best. And like you say you love this game, but like, do you really love it because you allow winning to dictate whether or not you have happiness? And I think like that whole conversation was really eye-opening, and then you get this really like emotional moment, and I thought it did a good job of hitting on those things. And then you always have those parts in these sports movies where like these movies don't get made off. This isn't a spoiler, like obviously, because these movies don't get made if there's not like some type of a happy ending that generally comes at some point here, some type of growth or moment. And I thought they just did a good job. Like you were happy for them when they were scoring the goals.
Yeah.
Really quick back on Jaya. There we go. Johnny.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Whoops. Did you recall what she looked like in real life versus her character in the?
I do, and I thought that was pretty well cast.
Nah, the one in the movie, it's like maybe I would. The the one in real life, I'm like, not my type.
I mean, not as much makeup on the one in real life, but that one's also not putting on for Hollywood.
That's fair. Would you though, the one in the movie?
No.
All right,
not my flavor.
Wow, dude, you're a hater.
No, just not my type,
All right, no, I get that, dude. I get it. I get what you're saying there. I did not rank this yet. Do you want to rank this live on?
Who, me rank it?
Well, what's your opinion? Where's the star rating for you? The scale of 5 stars. Where does this land?
That's a tough one. It's probably gonna be. I would give it 3 stars. I think I was between 2.5 and 3, but I think I give it 3.
Huh. So the thing I was trying to figure out during this whole movie, I was trying to think, because I was trying to compare it to other comedies to be fair to where I would rank it year to date on this list. So I think there's 2 types of movies that I need to compare it to that we've seen this year, or that one that I've seen. We've seen No Hard Feelings now, right?
Yep.
So I'm looking at No Hard Feelings. I'm looking at Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo wasn't a comedy.
I know, but it's based on true stories.
Okay.
So that's why I said there's 2 types of movies that I think I have to look at and compare to.
Okay.
For where I'd land on a ranking. And I was trying to decide while I was watching the movie.
First, before you continue, what do you have those ranked at?
So No Hard Feelings is ranked at number 18. It's 3 stars.
Okay.
Gran Turismo, I believe, was higher than that.
Definitely was.
That's at 13. But it's also rated at 3 stars.
Okay.
I think that I'm ranking this below those. That's how I kind of felt when I was watching it. Like I said, that's kind of what I was comparing it to, was where do I fall?
I would rank it below Gran Turismo, but almost even with No Hard Feelings for me.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm putting this in at 2.5 stars. And it's going to come in at 19th. Oh, no, 20th. 20th, sorry.
What's in between?
Last Demeter. And then it's in front of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, fuck that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you're just a hater on that movie for no reason. Next Goal Wins is the name of this.
Yep.
Do you like that name?
I think once I saw the movie, the name made sense.
There is that very funny scene too. One of the funnier scenes in the movie was them when he was feeding it, like giving him dinner or whatever, lunch on the island, and he just kept walking away saying like,
"Oh yeah,
one goal,
one goal,
one goal."
Dude's like 50 feet away by this time.
Yeah.
One goal.
And then he really... Do you want to try that...
No.
No?
No. The coconut cream fish thing? No.
It's not your vibe, huh?
No.
All right, well, that's our newest addition to the list of movies I have on here. Comes in at number 20 on the year-to-date ranking. That is 20 out of 31. So fairly middle of the road. It's my highest rated 2.5-star movie of the year so far.
Fair enough.
Glowing review. Okay, where do we go next, Dante? Where do we go next? Do we want to address the movie, the stuff we talked about last week about November box office performance, and kind of piggyback off that conversation briefly?
What do we have to go into from that?
So we had kind of talked about where we thought some things were going to finish this November, rankings wise, money wise, and some stuff. Interesting things have come out this week. So I'll start with the Marvels. The Marvels comes out this week. We just watched the final trailer for it. Do you want to give any thoughts on that before I talk about what its projected performance of the box office is going to be?
I haven't really kept up with Marvel as much as I used to, and so I just feel like there's a lot of questions for me watching that trailer. Like, there was a character in particular, the villain there. Was that villain introduced in a previous Marvel installment, or is that something we're supposed to discover in this movie?
I felt like it was something we're discovering in this movie. However, I've not watched Miss Marvel, so that could very well be where that character comes from.
I almost feel like they had that character in a light, like you should have known who it was, kind of thing.
Then it's probably from Miss Marvel, and neither one of us watched it.
Fair point.
Yeah, so there's a good chance of that. I felt a couple things. Like, they landed really heavy with, like, look at all these cool Avengers that we had, and now look at what we left you with.
I don't think that's what they were going for, but
so there's a little bit of that. But I thought that this trailer was much better than the first one that I saw.
It almost makes you want to watch the movie, right?
The first one that they came out with, the first trailer for this, felt like a glorified TV movie with, like, some of the CGI and, like, poor acting in it.
Goofy shit with just showing them, like, switching places and shit.
Yeah, it just didn't feel very inspiring to me. Whereas this one definitely hits a little bit more of the...
Gives you more of that big screen feel.
Yeah, so I felt a little bit more optimistic going into this movie that it'll be okay, that it'll be good. Sam L, back. Now, however, the people, Dante, the people of the world are not looking quite as forward to this.
No.
The pre-sales for this movie are currently pacing behind both the pre-sale ticket performances of Black Adam and The Flash.
Damn.
That's not good.
No.
For anybody who doesn't realize, that is not good. It is currently projected at a staggering 72% lower domestic opening of that of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was a bomb earlier this year, right? Not a strong performing movie. It's projected to make between 50 and 75 million, which I think is right on where we projected it at. I want to say that that's right around what we had said it was going to make.
I'm not going to pretend to remember what we said.
I feel like that's what I had predicted it at, was around 70 million maybe, because we were basing it off of what some of the other Marvel movies have done in this month and knowing what we know about what the appetite right now is for both Marvel and just for this movie in general. Also the feeling that people, I think, have for Captain Marvel herself, Brie Larson, right? Like, I don't think anybody's that huge of a fan of her. So
why do you keep hating on Brie Larson, bro?
I like her, but a lot of people don't like her. She's also taken part in the worst acted scene I've ever seen in a Fast and the Furious movie. So there's that. I've said that for a year now. It's the scene with her and that dude in that room that had just, like, screens all around it that, like, clearly was just a soundstage. It's the poorest acting performance I've ever seen in a movie.
Damn.
Nah, that's probably exaggeration.
I was going to say, hold on. You might need to take that back.
They are, however, saying, and this comes from an article, this is a eight box office predictions article from Screen Rant, that they still think that this movie could end up doing okay, both, like, obviously word of mouth if people end up liking it when it gets to the theater, but also just the fact that it's a lower budget than your typical Marvel movie. And it's
still not a low budget by any means.
Though. No, but they're also saying, like, it could have legs because, like, there's a decent amount of movies that come out next month, but like we've talked about last week, there was nothing, like, major that's going to eat away at this type of movie.
It doesn't have any huge contenders.
Yeah, like, nothing's going to eat away at it that much. Couple other ones that I wanted to run through really quickly. You know, they talked about the Hunger Games here. This is the lowest budget for a Hunger Games movie, but it's also expected to have the lowest opening. They're expecting it to open at about 50 million domestically, so keep an eye on that. If it comes in any lower than that, I'd say we have a problem on our hands. They do still expect that to make money, though, because they were able to keep the budget low to make it. As we said last week, I think we predicted the Trolls movie to be possibly the highest grossing.
The winner of the month.
Yeah. And they essentially agree with us here. It's tracking at 48 million worldwide. But again, I think that goes back to legs, right? So I guess there's a world where like maybe the Marvels has the highest grossing movie of November, but it also could be the biggest loss of November based on budget. Gotcha. Right. And I guess that's where we didn't necessarily hammer out that discussion last week to what makes it a success. Is it how much money it just makes in the movie theater, or is it versus how much it costs, right? Yeah. You know, Wish is the other animated movie. There is some hope with this. Disney has been relatively down in the movie theaters recently, and they said there has not been any major kids releases over the past few months. So between this and Trolls Worldwide, you have a couple of movies that are geared towards a younger audience that both could see success. That's aiming at about 45 to 65 million in the box office, and they're saying that it could join the animated musicals like Frozen and Moana that were released also around Thanksgiving and become major hits. We'll see on that one. You know, I don't know who. Can you look up who the major voice actor is in Wish? Because obviously, you know, Frozen I don't think had anybody too big in it, but like Moana having The Rock in it probably helped it quite a bit.
Evan Peters.
Yeah, he's good, but he's not like a box office guy.
Oh, Chris Pine.
Box office guy.
Not recognizing any of those.
Yeah, so nothing too crazy there. We already talked about Next Goal Wins. Did we talk about Thanksgiving last week? We did, because I asked you about Addison Rae.
Yeah.
Yeah, the horror movie.
Yeah.
They said low budget, like most horror movies do. It's projected to make between $22 and $40 million domestically total, though, from the box office.
Also not filmed in Plymouth.
Thanksgiving.
What else is Thanksgiving about?
All right. I should have. Fuck. Why didn't I think of that? See, that's dry humor. There you go. See how it's done, Taika? What teats? They do think this could be successful, though, because it's counter-programming. There's nothing else like it coming out in November. So anybody who has an appetite for horror, you have this as an option out there versus a couple of kids' movies and some bigger action movies. One of the more interesting ones on here, though, for me is Ridley Scott. We talked about Napoleon.
Oh, yeah.
So he's had a terrible box office run for the last 8 years. He only did on the House of Gucci. It only did $147 million gross, which was a huge underperformance. Famously, the movie The Last Duel was a huge bomb. One of the worst movies of the year, I think 2 or 3 years ago. That only did $30 million outright gross in the theater. Okay?
Fuck.
That's really bad. All the Money in the World, I don't really remember that one, but it also struggled to find an audience. And then they bring up Alien Covenant, which I fucking hate that movie. It's bad. It had potential to be good. Danny McBride is in it. Fassbender's part of it is like one of the worst parts of the movie, I think. But like that was kind of hated on. So with this being this movie, the Joaquin Phoenix movie where he plays Napoleon, they want it to be his highest grossing movie since The Martian, but it has to gross more than Alien Covenant did because the box office or the cost to make the movie was so high. Can you really quickly get us a budget on Napoleon? They're expecting it to make between 46 million and 74 million in its domestic haul. How much?
I think I just saw 130.
So it's gonna need a lot of work to get there. If you're only opening up between a projected 46 and 75, you need to be at the top end of that projection in order to do it. And I just don't know if movies right now are exceeding expectations when they get to the theater. This is going to have to rely heavily on a sustainability factor in getting multi rewatches, similar to what I think I made in Oppenheimer successful. I saw somebody who posted on Twitter that said that they were going to see Oppenheimer for their 6th time with its re-release in IMAX.
Why would you dedicate, what is that mathematically, 18 hours of your life to
18 to 20 hours of your life, yeah. 6th rewatch because it's coming back out in IMAX. So, but that's what you have to rely on with, I feel like, a movie like this from Ridley Scott, is the fact that people go and see it, and artistically they're blown away with it. You have to hope that Joaquin Phoenix shows up the same way he did in The Joker for a lot of people and has this like iconic performance where you get lost in it, right? And in order for it to be that successful at the box office. Did you see, we did our episode last week discussing Five Nights at Freddy.
Yeah.
And did you see it tanked? Like, it dropped like 70-something% at the box office this week.
Oh, damn. No, I didn't see that.
So it's crossed 200 million for gross. So it's successful regardless, right? But yeah, it dropped something like 74% or something at the box office this week, which is a twofold discussion. I think that, like, you got all the kids went and saw it last week, right? I think secondly, you released it to Peacock. So any goodwill that you were able to get off of word of mouth from this movie, I think a majority of those people who are interested, based on the fact that everybody said it was pretty good,
just hit it up on streaming. Yeah.
You already have the service. I don't have to pay to go to the theater. I can watch it in 2 sittings if I want to. I can catch it like I did when I wake up in the morning one day and it's just like I need to watch something, Yeah. So yeah, I think that that's got a lot to do with it, and I think that they need to rethink a little bit of releasing things simultaneously to both streaming and theater if you want movie theaters to still make money and be successful.
I think the way Disney did that in the past, where they paywall it on streaming, would probably be the more successful way to do that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would pay to watch this at home. I mean, and to a point, you can pay for things pretty early on, like Vudu, to watch them on there.
Okay.
I think to them, a lot of people, though, it's like if you're going to... It depends who owns the rights, I suppose. And I assume NBC in some way owns the rights, and that's why they got it on Peacock the way that they did. All right, so next up in the news, moving on. Do you want to talk about Netflix really quickly?
What about it?
It's the biggest nemesis of this podcast, right?
Definitely a friend of mine.
For 2 years now, it's been our biggest objective to try and get people to hate it, while simultaneously I watch it very consistently.
Say it with me, people. Down with Netflix. Down with Netflix.
So Netflix has an ad-supported version of their subscription service now, right? So they'll have you pay $10 a month or something. I'm assuming that's the cost.
I think it was like $8.
Okay, so you can pay them $8 a month. They can make money off of their ads that they play to you. And now they're doing a thing where if you're a good boy and you watch enough of those episodes in a row and get pumped full of ads for enough hours in a row, they'll let you watch one without ads.
No way.
Yes.
That almost feels like more of a smack to the face.
They'll let you watch one episode free of ads if you allow them to download advertisements into you for like 4 or 5 hours straight.
Oh my God.
I just think that's like, I don't know. They're fucking like blood from a stone, dude.
So,
they're just trying to take as much as they can.
I just went to Netflix's website to figure out the pricing on that, and it's actually $7. But the other thing I'm seeing in the description is it says all but a few movies and TV shows available. So that means they're still holding some of them behind a paywall.
It's like whatever Kevin Hart's latest release is. You're not going to get to see this one, buddy.
Or whatever they're working on with Adam Sandler this month.
Yeah. You're going to have to wait for this one to come to your paid subscription.
It's also saying something about mobile games. Does Netflix have like a mobile gaming thing?
What would it be?
I don't know. I don't use Netflix.
Like, I'm just trying to think. You know what it would be, Dante? It would be a pay-to-win game. It would
in-app purchases.
Yeah. They're like, we're gonna get more money. You didn't want to give us the extra $13 for our 4K package without ads. We'll get it from you somehow. Imagine that's what it is. You have to simultaneously watch the shows with ads, also play our game, and then we'll eventually give you one free ad episode.
I gotta imagine they're flooding those games with ads too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's probably ads for their movies. This is what you could have. You could have I was gonna say Haunted Mansion. That's not the Adam Sandler one. What is the one with him and Jennifer Aniston's kind of like horror one?
Oh,
No, it's a mystery one, isn't it?
I know the one you're talking about.
Is it mystery?
It's not Glass Onion and all that, no?
No, Glass Onion's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't talk bad about that.
Sorry. Murder Mystery. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
okay. Yeah, it's going to be like Murder Mystery 5, the ad for that, probably.
Oh, they just skip a few? They're like, don't worry, it's in the works.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're trying to draw your excitement now to see if we should put it out.
To see how much we should up our subscription
Can
prices.
you run through the tiers really quickly? So it goes from $7 to what's the next price?
It goes from $7 to $15.50.
And what do you get for $15.50?
Ad-free movies, TV shows, and mobile games.
Sick. We need to. Can you look up what the mobile games are? We should just like find that out.
At some point. Maybe not now.
You don't want to know now? No, okay. That's fine. You don't have to. It's all good. We'll leave the people wanting more. We need segments for next week.
So basically, you're paying an extra, how much is that? $8 to eliminate ads and be able to add one extra member who doesn't live in your house with you. Which, might I remind you, to add an extra member, you still have to pay for that. Extra member slots can be added for $8 per month.
So, and this is to have just regular high definition, right? To get 1080p.
Oh yeah, they put it in all caps too. Watching full HD,
Sick.
1080.
Sick.
You get all the HDs.
Get my 40-inch Vizio out.
And then it jumps from $15.50 to $23 for their premium tier, and that gets you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that gets you up to 4 devices at a time. Ultra HD, aka 4K, and the option to add up to 2 members that don't live with you.
So
It also says Netflix Spatial Audio. What the fuck is that?
Is there a tier above the $23 one, or is that the highest tier?
No, that's the highest tier.
What is Netflix Spatial Audio?
That's what I'm trying to read on right now.
Well, that's why I've asked you. It's in front of you. This is a podcast where you can verbalize the things that you read.
I'm sorry, yeah. Netflix Spatial Audio is available on the premium plan and enhances sound without the need for surround sound speakers or home theater equipment. Works on all Netflix supported devices. So what? Basically, they're paywalling better audio too.
But they're saying you don't need like a sound bar to do it.
It's almost like it's saying you could get surround sound without surround sound speakers, which I just don't get how they can do that on the software side of things.
I think they're lying to you.
100%.
I think
you can't change the way my speaker's built just because I paid you $23 a month.
Hey, if you pay us as much as you paid for your TV over the next year, we'll make it sound better.
If they figured something out that we don't.
I'm on it. That's crazy.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I found that one funny. Next up, there is a Barbenheimer movie that's in the works.
They're gonna do like a fan fiction like crossover kind of thing?
It's working with a $1 million budget. The film will follow Dr. Barbenheimer, a scientist doll living in Dolltopia, who tries to take out humanity with a nuclear bomb.
Oh, he's the villain in this one. I like it.
Well, why do you say it's a he? It's Dr. Barbenheimer, Dante. You think only men can be doctors? You think Barbie was the nurse?
I was
I wish I knew the joke where it's like yeah, you just made the joke in itself. Oh man. He's the bad guy. This is Dr. Barbenheimer, and they have long hair in the silhouette that I can see, so I assume it's a
Bro,
female.
I'm not seeing the same picture you're seeing. Yeah, and in my head, I was just relating to Dr. Oppenheimer, who was a man.
But Barbie is
a doll version of him. But
Barbie
no, I'm not sexist, okay?
Feels like we might be. I have to imagine this is like a gets released to YouTube type movie.
To YouTube.
Yeah, like this is an hour and a half free movie on YouTube. Imagine if they pull a 3-hour runtime out of this.
Ugh.
That'd be funny. That'd be like a hilarious joke. Also, here's another funny way they could film it. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, but it's just Barbie figures. like somebody
Oh,
holding.
somebody just holding. How do you get to $1 million budget if that's the way you're recording?
The rarest of Barbie figures. They have the super rare Barbie and Ken Dream House.
I suppose they had to track down all the OG Barbies, and no, those ain't cheap.
Last topic that I have here. The Simpsons have retired the running joke of Homer strangling Bart.
Oh, God. Is that because the world's so sensitive that they can't even be funny anymore?
Well, it is crazy that, like, we've gotten this far without anybody being like, hey, maybe strangling your kid's not okay.
It's fine.
It is soft, don't get me wrong.
But trying to, teach them some good values,
And I would also say, what's the point now? They're like 33 seasons in.
Bro, there's so many other episodes of him strangling Bart. Like, you're not taking that off.
The bit's
completely.
done.
Yeah.
Just keep it going. And you didn't have to announce it because, like, nobody would have even thought about it. Like, was anybody saying to themselves, like, oh, man, like, they haven't strangled Bart in a while on this show?
I almost feel like it's more for the publicity because I don't think I'm hearing anybody going, yo, did you catch the new episode of The Simpsons?
I was going to ask, you don't seem like a person who's watched The Simpsons.
I've watched it back in the day, but, like, none of their new stuff.
When I first got Disney Plus, that was one of my first go to sleep binge watching shows. Because, like, there's so many seasons.
Yeah.
And it is a funny show. And I think some of the newer seasons from watching it at that point are a little underrated just because, like, yeah, to your point, it's so many seasons out there now that I think a lot of people just kind of fallen off and watching it. But I still find it to be a fun show. I enjoy it. I haven't watched it in probably 1.5 years, 2 years now, though, if I'm being honest. Which is where I come to, like, I read this and I was like, well, this just seems like a lot of nothing. Like, is this a way to just get us to talk about The Simpsons? Because I wouldn't have talked about them otherwise.
Yeah, that's all I can imagine it is.
Yeah. Let us know. Are you pro choking kids?
Yeah.
Do you think that they should still be able to do it? I mean, it's a fucking animated TV show. I feel like there's a lot worse things that happen in animated TV shows. There's octopuses and stuff in those animes that do all those crazy things.
Bro, those aren't just animes. You're talking about hentai.
Oh. My mistake. They're strangling something else.
Moving on.
And moving on to our final segment of the day, we welcome you to the Taste Test.
Ooh.
A segment where we look back at our week past and think about what we've done, both good and bad.
Whoa, hold on. What is this, penance?
Yeah.
Give us 5 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers.
We look at the movies we've watched, the music we've listened to, the thoughts we've had, and we reflect, we repent. And we dip our toes into the future.
Oh.
What's coming next?
Okay.
It's a good setup.
All right.
The taste test. I'll allow you to start, Dante. What is new on Apple this week?
New on Apple this week is fingernails.
Oh my God.
Fuck. You know how I've been on here for 2-3 weeks now saying Apple don't miss?
Yeah.
They missed.
Oh, I could tell. You watched something called Fingernails. No shit, they missed.
It was an interesting concept, but it was so dry and slow, and I didn't even finish it.
Was it about torture?
No.
Okay.
It was about it was kind of like retro-futuristic, but it was basically like this company that built this device that could test between couples to see if they're truly in love by testing their fingernails.
You watched this
for 20 minutes.
What made you watch this?
I don't know.
That premise is terrible.
Yeah, it is. Owen Wilson was in it.
That's sad. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. That's bad.
Let's just say I backed out of the movie before I even got to see Owen Wilson on screen. So
yeah, okay, he was probably like a minor role. I hope.
I guess.
Okay, anything else? Because where could we go any further with fingernails?
I did actually watch Fall.
Okay, all right.
earlier back in the beginning of the podcast, we were talking about cinematography, and it's definitely something I appreciated in this movie. I didn't realize when before I watched it, I didn't check the genre or anything, that it was a thriller.
Yeah.
But the anxiety I felt while they were fucking climbing that tower was fucking insane.
Brought you back to
I've
Free
never
Solo.
I've not even Free Solo though, because I've never had a movie trigger my fear of heights like that.
I think Free Solo is a movie, so I feel like it probably did.
But it didn't trigger my fear of heights, is what I'm saying.
It didn't?
No.
Why? That's real life. This isn't. One could have actually died. The other can't.
I guess the difference is I didn't know the outcome of this movie, whereas Free Solo is based on a true story, and I knew he survived.
Did you like the outcome of this movie?
Yeah, for the most part, I guess.
You've not seen 47 Meters Down.
No,
right?
I haven't.
All right. That you can watch that next and see where the similarities lie.
Is it in the plot twist?
Yeah.
It's the same plot twist.
Basically.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, it is the same exact plot twist.
I see. I could imagine that.
Nice coping mechanism, though, for him, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
I love how at the end the dad is like, all right, let's go home. It's like, no, I think she's pretty fucked up. She should probably go to the hospital, but all right.
Would you have killed yourself?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fucking weak. I ain't surviving up there for, what was it, 3-4 nights?
Yeah, I would be too afraid that I'd roll off the edge while I slept.
Yeah, I move around a lot in my sleep.
Yeah. I can't go towards open edges of high surfaces because I just assume I'm going to slip and fall.
Also, let's be honest, I'm not a fucking climber. I wouldn't have been up there in the first place, but even if I was, I don't have the skills to get me out of that situation.
I'm an idiot in that I would climb something like that and regret it so much once I got there, and I would just cling to I saw a video the other day of one of those daredevils, and they climbed the Eiffel Tower without asking, basically, and he was up there with just a selfie stick and his fucking GoPro, just walking across the beams at the top of fucking Paris on the Eiffel Tower, dude.
Insane.
Or London. Where's the Eiffel? I don't fucking know. I don't understand the world.
Paris.
Yeah, I was right.
Yeah, you were right.
All right. I was wondering if because the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where's that?
Is in Rome.
Okay. All right. Well, but I watch videos like that, and obviously they give you anxiety, and there's way more of those dudes dying now, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how they can just so freely step from beam to beam, casually holding a fucking selfie stick off to the side. It doesn't make sense.
These are just fucking daredevils with no fear.
They have no fear until they're dead. And do you feel bad for those guys? Is it bad that I don't?
I don't.
Am I a sociopath for that?
I think you do something like that because you love it, and if you die doing what you love, then I don't feel bad for you.
That's a really positive way to look at it. I think they love it until the moment that they're falling to their death, and then they're just whining like bitches.
They're falling to their death fuck, why didn't I get into knitting or something?
No, Dante, I think they're falling to their death and they're crying, hoping that they wake up from the stream.
Damn. That's deep.
It is, but
deep. That's deep.
I'm being serious. I think that these guys think that they're invincible. And I think to a point you need to have that wall of invincibility up to be able to cope with doing things like that, right? To do those types of feats. And I'm sure Evel Knievel, for instance, had this thought too, to a point, right? Where there's two ways I think you can take it. You can either accept that there is the possibility of death, or you have to accept that there's no possibility of death, right? You have no acceptance of that, I suppose, is more what I'm saying. And you block it completely out of your psyche to be willing to do it.
Okay.
We're talking about Free Solo. I think Alex Honnold. Fuck, I always do that. Is a little bit of that, right? Where it's once he slipped or got to a point on the mountain where he couldn't get the thought of falling out of his head, what did he do?
He went back down.
Right? You have to have this shield of armor around you that protects you from the idea that you could fall to your fucking death. And I think that those guys that are up there just gallivanting about at the top of the fucking Eiffel Tower they're fucking invincible.
Are just all
are
clad in that armor, yeah.
yeah, like, and then I think that the second they fall, that armor's fucking gone, and they're questioning for way too long, because even though it's like 7 seconds, that 7 seconds probably feels like 10 minutes that they're falling, and there's nothing they can do to grab onto or hold onto that'll stop that falling, and all they can do is reflectively be like, this didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I could go home to my family tonight. Like, I could see my friends tomorrow. But instead, I chased clout at the top of the Eiffel Tower and then fell to my death. So I don't have sympathy for them. I'm sorry. I don't. There was the person who recently fell off of one of, like, the skyscrapers, and, like, they fell and they, like, got stuck on the side of something for a while, and, like, one of the, I feel like it was like a house cleaner or something like that, had heard them out there and tried to, it was like a famous YouTuber or something. And they were trying to save him, but like they couldn't get to him in time, and he ended up just falling the rest of the way.
Damn.
Yeah. I think that stuff's going to happen when you do those types of things. And it's like, and to your point, I don't think we should feel sympathy for them, because I think that they've either A, accepted that it's going to happen, or B, refused to believe that life is real and like there's consequences that can happen with the things that you do. Anything else you watched?
About My Father.
Is that a Adam Sandler movie?
Robert De Niro.
Oh, okay. It's the other Andy Samberg movie. Is he in that? No, it's not. It's not Andy Samberg. I forget who it is. But yeah, okay. I know the movie you're talking about. What service is that on? That came out about a year ago.
Stars.
Okay. Yeah. Seemed like people liked that quite a bit.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It was one of the first things I watched since we recorded last week, so it's not the freshest in my memory, but it was a pretty funny movie. And one of the leads in it, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah, that's the person I confused with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, he's a comedian, and I guess the role he played in the movie was loosely based on himself.
And the Robert De Niro is based on his dad.
Yeah. And just that whole dynamic was fucking hilarious. It worked very well.
Yeah, like I said, I've heard good things about it. I don't know that I'll ever like stop and watch it. Although I've had this, like, in the past week, I actually thought about watching. Did you ever see the movie The Internship? Not The Internship. The Intern.
Why does that sound familiar?
So The Internship is the Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn movie, but The Intern is another De Niro movie with Anne Hathaway. And I remember watching that movie and I enjoyed it. It's like I kind of like Robert De Niro in those roles, like kind of a more relaxed, like comedy
like he's
role.
not playing some sort of gangster or something.
Yeah, I like him in those.
Yeah.
I think he's able to adapt to those roles really well.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a pocket that he still works in at his age really well. He's able to garner sympathy. He has good comedic timing.
So you're saying you think we'll get more of those roles out of him?
I think that this is kind of his lane for the what you're gonna have left in his career. Yeah, to a point.
I'm okay with that.
No, hey, I have no objection to it.
I have not seen The Intern though.
That's good. It's on Hulu maybe.
Yeah, watch on Hulu.
Yeah, because I was thinking about watching it again. I saw it years ago. Okay. Any other stuff?
I think that was it. Yeah, it was a shorter week for me.
I only have one. And it's one we're gonna have to add to probably the pantheon of somewhat embarrassing things that I have to talk about that I watch.
The fuck did you watch?
And like, if you watch it, I don't think it's embarrassing, but I think when I say the title, I've been watching Nancy Drew.
Oh, that doesn't sound embarrassing.
I think it does to a point, because it's another CW show.
But you love CW shows.
I do love CW shows.
Guilty yourself, pleasure. Bro.
But it's I'm addicted. I'm like 2.5 seasons in. It's a good mystery show. Like, they have the episodic like storyline where they're like trying to solve something, but then they have that overarching storyline.
Okay. Oh, so is it kind of like a cop show kind of thing?
Well, she's a detective.
Like, but I'm saying like that kind of like episodic, like case by case each episode kind of thing.
Well, some of the cases like are feeding into the bigger story.
Okay.
You know, like, so like they're trying to solve something in that individual episode that is a ramification from the overarching story that's involved,
Okay.
kind of deal. And like, you know, there's some fun twists and turns throughout the first season. I thought it did a good job of being fairly like scary to a point for it being like a CW show.
Is it supposed to be scary?
Yeah, it deals very heavily with like supernatural stuff. And I think that that's the twist where I ended up enjoying it, because I didn't really know that that's what it did.
Okay.
And that's where I say I think it's embarrassing from an outside perspective a little bit, because to me, like, Nancy Drew was just like a, you know, it's a very old, I don't know if it was a comic strip initially, something like that, maybe. Along the lines of like your, what's the Jughead one that just ended?
What, Dilbert?
No, the town that town that's like I keep wanting to say Everwood, but that's not
Riverdale.
Riverdale, thank you. Like kind of along the lines of like a Riverdale is where I think it started. But Nancy Drew's like a really, really old book series, comic or comic strip series, something like that.
I think it started with the books. I don't think it was a comic thing.
Okay. And I don't know if they've kind of taken liberties and turned it into a supernatural thing, but this leans very heavily into supernatural stuff. And I think it's got some good little jump scares and like intense moments to it. And I've enjoyed it a lot. It's 4 seasons long, I believe.
What streaming service did you say this was on?
I'm watching it on HBO. On Max, sorry.
Sick. I can get some use out of Max. I might check that out, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's easy watch. Like, first season's like 18 episodes, I think.
I mean, you telling me it has supernatural elements is what really piques my interest here.
And like, I think a lot of it, what comes down to it with the CW shows for me, is whether or not I enjoy the cast. And I like the girl who plays Nancy Drew. I like the rest of the cast somewhat. Or if not somewhat, for the most part, I like them. I like them growing even more into the second season. If you do end up watching this show, anybody out there, if we could just comment, one of the supporting characters, George, the way she walks, it's very off-putting to me. Like,
George is a her?
Yeah. George is part of a full family of like it's an Asian family, and all the girls have boy names. They haven't given me an explanation for it yet.
I would love if that was just some, like, you know how like when they come to the country they pick an American name.
Mm-hmm.
I would love if that was just like some ignorance to not knowing their boy names,
and they're just picking them.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't figure. But like all like her sisters, like she has like 3 sisters, and I'm pretty sure they all have boy names.
Okay.
And it's like they haven't given me an explanation. I'm hoping they will soon.
Or don't.
That is that's really the only thing that I've watched in the past week. As far as what I think we are gonna watch going forward, homework for you, Dante.
Yep.
Homework for us. I believe. Can you verify whether or not Loki is finished? If season 2 of Loki is done now. We either have one more episode left or it's done, I think. Because I feel like they only do 6 episodes.
6 episodes, yeah.
For Disney. I think it's time we dip our toe.
Yeah. So the sixth episode is airing in 2 days.
Perfect. So next week, I think we will be coming back with 2 things. We have the Marvels this week, and we have Loki season 2.
Ooh, all right, we're getting marvelous.
I think that is the Marvelous Miss Maisel. That's a TV show.
That sounds familiar.
Hulu or Amazon Prime, one of them.
Oh yeah, look at you, huh?
Which one? Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Prime, yeah.
Yes, I think it's good too. I've never seen it. Maybe we watch that too. Throw that in there so we just keep going Marvels.
That's a whole nother series. I can't do 2 series in 1 week.
Okay, fair enough. So next week, yeah, we will be coming back with reviews of the Marvels and Loki season 2. That'll be the plan for next week's episode. With that being said, if you could follow us anywhere that podcast can be found on audio, we would greatly appreciate it. That are things such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora. We're not on Hulu. Google Podcasts, the Samsung Store, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, JCPenney, D's Nuts. Heyo, ain't done that in a while.
How you hit us with JCPenney? Aren't they out of business?
No, they're still running, aren't they? Macy's.
Oh,
where Dante buys his suits.
Nah,
You can also follow us on Instagram at For Those with Good Taste, on X videos at Good Taste Live. We're on YouTube every week. We stream video games on there as well as drop our podcasts. We're also over on the Talk of Tick.
Ooh.
Dante, where can they find you since you got so upset that I promoted your channel?
Nah.
Didn't promote your channel last week.
No, it's fine. Yeah, no, y'all don't need to check me out. Forget it.
Where might they if they didn't want to, though?
Dirty Water ENT on YouTube, Dirty Water _ENT on Instagram and Twitch.
Maybe he'll be on there in 3 months. Check him out. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure seeing you all this week. As you know, we've ended like this. Hit him with them gunshots, Dante. Bang, bang. Till next week, au revoir. Buenas noches. Arrivederci. Can't see me, your time is now.
For those with good taste.